Frankie. This is Frankie's first time on the circuit with us.
Yeah, Frankie!
You better have some good production design questions for Frankie.
That's right.
Frankie also production designed Snack Shack, which
Yeah, Frankie!
By the way, Frankie might have also just production designed Caroline as well. So.
Okay, Frankie!
We love Frankie.
It is now 12:18 a.m., so thank you all for being here. I'm going to try and keep up the energy as much as possible. If it's cool with y'all, I'm going to run the mic around the room, and we're just going to try and knock out as many questions as we possibly can, if that's chill. I mean, I know we've already done a few Q&As together, so hands up. Who's got a question? There's more of you that have
questions out there.
There's got to be more than that. I have to start over here. Okay, we'll start with you over here. Let's do it.
This movie is punk as fuck.
You're punk as fuck.
What was the inspiration, and what are your favorite punk bands?
Some of my favorite punk bands?
Yeah.
Well, number one, like Ramones, 100%. 100%. Dead Kennedys, like newer stuff, like not super new, but like Midwest, like Riverdale's. I'll stick with Ramones and Dead Kennedys for me personally. What was the inspiration for the film?
Yeah.
Student Union, 1996. I would see flyers for Harris Labs in Lincoln, Nebraska, which was a clinical trial place. So I dreamt up an idea many years later about a punk kid that paid for his albums by selling his body to science. And it was a script called Kicks. It didn't go anywhere. The character Simon was created in that space. At the first sitting that I did, I wrote everything from the opening of the movie, from the clinical trials through the first family, through the window breaking, all of that, him running away. So that was written in one kind of beat. And then years later, I did some writing that was called Dinner in America, and it was Patty and her family. And so the first scene that you see with the family sitting around the table, that was all written in one go. There, the stuff with cumin and all of that, Ross's favorite part of the movie. It was all written, and I sketched out a bunch of scenes with the family, and it didn't really go anywhere. And then kind of merged the character of Simon into Dinner in America, and thought it was fun to see if this guy came in and sort of, had this effect on the family and what it would look like in kind of a 72-hour period. So it was just kind of a free-form thing once I merged the two ideas together. And really it was like two separate ideas, and then I combined them together and winged it once I got Simon into the Schulk family space.
Back of the room here. There you go.
In Lesser Hands, Patty becomes a bit of a caricature of a type of person. What was it about Emily that made you go, this is her, this is my Patty?
Emily sent us a very good audition tape, and she reminded me the other day that she wasn't wearing glasses in it, and then I had asked her, could you retape with glasses? And she went to a few stores, like vintage stores, looking for glasses, and that didn't feel right for her. So she ended up going to Walgreens and getting a pair of readers, and those are the glasses that became Patty's glasses. She did the audition in them. We really liked them. Frankie and I looked for other glasses, I believe, and then we just ended up going with those. They felt the best.
So I produced the movie, and we were literally prepping. We were going to shoot in a couple days, and I remember being on a call with our costume designers out of LA, who were like, where are these glasses? We need glasses for her. And Emily was like, I just bought them at Walgreens. So we drove to Walgreens in Michigan where we shot the movie, and they had the same fucking glasses on the same rotating kiosk things. And I just sent a picture to Emily, and she's like, yeah, those are the ones. So we just bought a couple pairs of those, and those became the Patty Schulk glasses. So, yeah.
That's probably where her parents got them too, you know?
Another question?
What was the idea behind giving Simon his Eagle Scout patch? It's a fun
I
detail
think
I
Simon
wonder
might have
about.
formerly been an Eagle Scout. I really do. I think he was, and I think he wore it strangely on his jacket. But yeah, I was. Wasn't everybody an Eagle Scout?
But I think the other thing is the story about how we got the Eagle
Yeah,
Scout
why don't you
patch.
tell that, Frankie? Perfect timing. Thank you for your question. It directly goes into to PD.
I don't know if anyone in here is an Eagle Scout, but in order to obtain a patch, you have to you have to be an Eagle Scout. You can't just go on Etsy and buy one. You have to get, it's really like the respect goes up the chain. And so I wrote a
Exclusive
letter.
club.
It's exclusive. Wrote a letter to Boy Scouts of America, and I said he was a stand-up citizen.
I was?
I described the character.
Oh, Simon.
And I lied to the Boy Scouts of America to obtain the patch. And we got it.
The director is an Eagle Scout. And also our sound mixer, Danny, is an Eagle Scout. Ross is not. Remember that one. YMCA. There you go.
Another question, Becky?
Somebody
Bunch of hands over.
Hi, first, as a gal named Caroline, very excited to make the next movie, My Entire Personality, when it comes out.
It's going to be great for you.
But I feel like the character Patty has kind of been like adopted by the neurodivergent community online. We see a lot of ourselves in her, whether it's like her mannerisms, the slur, you know, the medications. I would love to know how much of that was like written intentionally and scripted, or how much it came from like building the character out of experience.
Everything absolutely with Patty is in the script. I mean, there's the other things when you cast, you know, things you give away a lot, and you try to pick someone who's going to, you know, really do the job, and that's Emily. So Emily can speak on just like your own, like, you know, I as the writer, there's the part that you write in, and I say we're very accurate with that. There's not a lot of improv or anything in the film at all, so everything is very scripted and very specific. In fact, I mean, we don't have a lot. We did this in what, 24 days? It was 24 days, 24 and a half, something like that. 25 days. We'll call it 25-day shoot. So it's, you know, it was a 114-page script in 25 days. So it's pretty fast and furious. We're bouncing around a lot. We had massive amount of speaking parts and locations, and we're never. How many was there? 53 speaking parts. So it was pretty crazy. So everything has to be very planned out. You know, Jean-Philippe Bernier and I, the DP, we meticulously planned out the shots and everything. But I mean, that's half of making it. It's not the emotional part. You cast somebody who's going to do it justice and bring something special to the role, and that's where Emily and Kyle, you know, fit into the equation. And for me, from my POV, it's just it's a trust thing. You know, you meet, you talk, you relate, you connect, and then, you know, I think having 2 weeks to spend to get to know each other prior to shooting, that's the secret sauce right there.
Oh yeah, I mean, Patty is fully on the page as Adam has written her, and I think that's a big testament to Adam as a writer. When I first read the script, I was so excited because as an actor, I don't get to see many characters like Patty ever. Like, this may be the last. I don't know. She's so specific. Hopefully not. Thank you, Ross. But she's so special and specific, and that's a testament to Adam. And then just as an actor, I was so excited to step into the script and to the role, and to, you know, I felt so much like Patty. I still feel so much like Patty. I strive every day to feel more like Patty. So I felt so seen by her, and so I was so excited when I got the script to audition in the first place, and then to be able to step into her was really healing for me personally, and also just so exciting as an actor in this industry that I think is like, I'm going through a time. I'll just leave it at that.
I just want to add to that as the producer of this movie and someone who's in the trenches with Adam for a long time and building it. I think that the tricky part of the character of Patty was that our assumption was that a lot of people would want to make fun of her in the way that they would portray her, or they would want to make her the joke, right? And that wasn't how I read the script at all, right? Which is, this is a story about Patty doesn't have to change who she is to find love and happiness and her voice and all these incredible things that she does by the end of the movie, where she has her dream boyfriend and she is singing out loud and everyone is loving it, and she is punching people on the bus who ruin her life. And if you make her a joke just because she is different, then that doesn't work, you know? And you have to, it can be fun and funny to be around her, but she can't be the butt of the joke, right? And I think that to me was so tricky as we were talking about casting, right? And I remember when Emily's tape came through and Adam watched it, you know, he knew immediately. He was like, no one has gotten it right until this moment, and it was because Emily understood who this character was. So it was a relief in the sense that as a producer, my job is to think about like pragmatism, and you're like, does this person exist who can play this character in a way that's not mean or laughing at them, but instead welcoming us into her, who she is, and we can laugh with her, and we can laugh sometimes at it. It's like funny, she's funny, but it's not that we're laughing because we want to look down on her. It's that we want to hang out with her, you know. And to me, that was the incredible thing you brought to it, Emily. So thank you.
She's an incredibly fun character to write, and to like just on the page, she's like a lot of fun. So I wanted to just embrace that, because yeah, she just spoke to me, you know.
Another question?
Where did you guys get the name for Chompy?
Fuck.
And also, did I notice it get mentioned in Snapchat?
Yeah, there's a chompy cone in Snack Shack, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's only because the clearance people, I asked like 7,000. I went through, I wanted Dairy Twist, and they were like, oh, there's places called Dairy. It's like, fuck, that's Dairy Twist is a generic way of saying Dairy Queen, you know? It's like, there's a million Dairy Twists, none of them are connected, but the clearance people, the people up in Carpetland were like, no, you can't have Dairy Twist. Well, what about Dairy Cone? You can't have Dairy Cone. We went through 70 fucking things, and I remember the clearances by Ashley, and I was like, can it be? I was like, can it be Ashley Cone? And they were like, no, you know. I'm like, okay, how about Chompy Cone? There's never been a place called Chompy Cone, so settled. But Chompy, I've told this a few times, but my wife would give me space to write the movie. And she would take our, at the time we had a new baby, and she would take the baby out to see her sister, like around Lake Elsinore and shit, and disappear for a few days. And, you know, at the point that she left, at the point where I wrote this, I wrote the scene right prior to it, and the arcade and everything, the montage. And then it was like the first day I was home alone. And I sat down and I got to she said, you know, this is the best day ever. I decided on a name for him, and he says, what? And then I just fucking blanked out, and I was like, oh, it's gotta be good. The bear has to have a good name. And then I proceeded to spend the next 8 hours what am I gonna call the bear? And I was walking around, and it turned into 2 days, and then it turned into 3 days, and Sarah's calling me on the phone, and she's like, how's the writing going? I'm like, it's fucking great. It's fucking just pouring out of me. It's awesome. And I hadn't written shit. And so eventually I was down by the beach in Redondo, and it just came to me. Chompy came out of the ether, and I was like, that's the bear. And I ran back and wrote it down, and then Sarah came back.
Yeah, and Chompy's here tonight. I don't know if you know, but hi, Chompy. Good to see you.
No, you gotta talk in the other end.
So I'm super impressed with the way the romance escalated in this movie. I don't think a lot of modern romances, the characters aren't quite as like developed. So I was wondering what the inspirations were for that character dynamic and how the romance was built and created.
On the page, I really couldn't tell you at this point. It's honestly, this is one of the movies that it was. Sometimes I meticulously plan things out and have kind of an outline that I'm working off of, and this one was a real free-form kind of thing, and I just felt it. I don't know. Don't have a real answer for you. Didn't think about it at all. It just came out that way.
How many of you would consider this a romantic comedy? Because I do. I feel like this is a romantic comedy, which is that you have the kind of classic setup, which is two characters that start at a different place with like a misunderstanding. In this case, we are let in on it with Simon, which is that he realizes she has been writing him these love letters that he's obsessed with, right? Which is this beautiful, very romantic thing that you wrote into the script that is this like, incredible core to it. That when you get to that part of the script, you're like, oh, this is what this is about. I would say that one thing that some people who and it's not, I don't mean this negatively, have some criticisms about the movie, say like, oh, well, the first like 20 minutes of the movie are a little intense, or they're really aggressive and all this kind of thing. And I'm like, you know, it was never a problem to me because I've loved the script from the first page I ever read of it. But if you start Simon and Patty so close to each other, there's nowhere for them to grow, right? And I think the satisfaction of this movie comes from the fact, and it's a testament to Emily and Kyle very deeply, that they understood where those characters start and where they go, right? And the joy for us as audiences, and certainly for me as a producer looking at it and reading the script for the first time, was the journey you go on with them. And the journey is intense. You go from this place where Simon is an antisocial pyromaniac, and Patty is a person who, you know, people say, oh, it's so aggressive. It's like, that's what Patty's life is like. Like, her life is that her family doesn't respect her, that people, her peers treat her like a less than human, which Simon calls out at one point in the movie. And her expectations of herself are based on the expectations everyone else has given to her, which is absolutely nothing, that she will never amount to anything. And that Simon is on a self-destructive cycle of destroying everyone that ever cared about him in his life, which you see with his family, right? And if you take those two characters and then throw them together, and then they start to bring out something in each other that was always there, but make it okay for them to be that, that's beautiful. Like, that's a love story that has all this potential, and it's not artificial in the sense of like how a lot of romantic comedies go. Like, to me, I read that, I'm like, this movie's funny and it's romantic. It's a romantic comedy. So that's my long answer, but I guess I'd say, like, if you don't start there, where do you go, you know?
I really haven't watched that many romantic comedies. I don't tend to like them that much, but this was like, no, this is like a for me, in the space that I like, which is more like kind of grindhouse type of cinema, this felt like adjacent to that. So it was like something that I could actually, like a love story that felt like I could connect with, you know, as I was writing it. But I really didn't know what it was going to be. I had no plan for anything when I was writing it. It just like kept happening, like the scene work and stuff. I had two big scenes. Like, I had the Simon sequence that I had from Kicks, and I had the Dinner in America around the dinner table thing and a couple other things. But other than that, because the movie starts with like kind of a day in the life of both of them. Well, I had those, but not really anything else. So it was like show one, show other, and then when I really started on the script, it was like connecting Simon to that alleyway where he meets Patty, and that's where it really started for me. But I didn't know. I was surprised and kind of fell in love with them as I went along, if that makes sense.
With Snack Shack, I asked you if you had sent the kids some movies to watch, some 80s or 90s movies, but you said you used soundtrack instead. Similar approach with this one, or? Yeah,
both Emily and Kyle got mixtapes, Simon and Patty mixtapes that had an A side and a B side, and they're like 45-minute sides, so they're like 90 minutes of music, both of them. And I didn't send them any movies or references that way. It was all musical references. Yeah, it's usually music references for people, because I feel like you feel more with music, you know.
Right, you don't want to have them be like, we're making Sid and Nancy mixed with Harry.
I don't
Harry
find
and
any,
Sally.
I don't find any value in that.
No.
I really don't. Like some people like to. And the process of this was so long, like in what you would consider development,
Mm.
that I was going to movies. I've certainly seen stuff. I've seen Napoleon Dynamite. We could compare to Napoleon or Heathers or Pump Up the Volume or Welcome to the Dollhouse. They're all films that I enjoyed and all films that I love, but not trying to pull anything specific from them or ever tell Emily like you're just like this character from
In
this
this
other
scene, yeah.
I don't really use references
And
like
that's
that.
how you end up with an original movie like Dinner in America. Question?
The production design is one of my favorite parts of this film. There's a ton of fun spaces in this movie. Was there a space that was the most memorable or the most fun to create?
Before Frankie says a word, you have to know that this girl had like $12,000 to make this movie. Like
14.
okay, sorry, 14.
Sorry.
It was something like that, and before Frankie's gonna have an incredible answer, but as the producer I'll say, she's a consummate professional in the sense that she would come to me, she'd be like, Ross, can we talk? I'd be like, yeah, of course. She's like, I need $500 to be able to fully dress 4 sets, and you're like, okay, we can do that. But before you answer, I'll say, in California, in the shitty lunch, the Hawaiian burger, where there's that, we spent a good amount of money, I feel like, on this. Frankie designed that incredible backdrop on the wall of like the cow going through the meat grinder. And I remember you were like, look, if there's one place I'm gonna spend money, it's gonna be on this. And we were like, yeah, fuck yeah, go do that. So.
I was gonna say that mural as well. I like to sneak in a mural, and I try to sneak in a mural in every movie. But our set decorator and I on this film would just go into these fugue states where I remember one time we had our laptops on our laps, and we were getting like mani-pedis at one point, but we were getting stars, like American stars, and we had dyed our hair too. We were just going like, let's fucking go in. And we went in, and I think there was that moment we were making this mural, and I was just like, let's just add a cow going through a meat grinder, and then we'll add this girl with boobs, and then I'm just like, let's fucking go for it. And then I'm like, I'm so proud of this thing, because it really is like, you see it and you're like, hell yeah.
So I do want to at least point out that location, which is still open. It's called California Burgers with a Z. Okay, it's in Detroit. Their wall that Frankie put the incredible vinyl mural over is a bunch of like really goofy like Hollywood sign and like LA has like the LAX.
They were all black and
towers
white.
and shit. So look it up, and by the way, they were lovely. They let us shoot there. They were fucking awesome. But like, you should look on Yelp or whatever at the place, because the wall is the most hilarious California shit you've ever seen in your life, and that's what Frankie covered up to do the meat grinder mural. So yes, I at least want to say that.
It's tough when you have really tight budgets with really delicious scripts too, because you really need to figure out a way to put money on the screen and do it where it impacts a lot. And all of us walked into that burger place and we saw, they were like, that's not us. We can't feed those people. And so we have to figure out a way to, make it work for that. And then it's funny because it's like we had, a couple grand for this film. We had nothing. It's really difficult, but you have to use your brain and be smart about how this is going to be on screen and how it's going to work with the characters, how it works for us, for the cinematography, and then, I don't know, it works out.
I think I'm most proud of Simon's little lair that he lives in down there, his room down in the basement, because that was like all this weird sports memorabilia and shit down in there, and I think you spent like all night taking all of that shit off the walls. It was like painstaking.
Well, and all the punk posters.
Putting them up.
I mean, didn't you design all those punk posters? I'm like endlessly impressed by those punk posters. I could like spend the whole movie just looking at them. Like they're so good and so authentic, and so awesome.
there was a question earlier about, well, I wanted to say one thing about the broken window too, but I wanted to say also a question earlier about you talking about your punk past, because when we were doing Snack Shack, you were like, hey Frank, I have this guy in Omaha I want you to talk to. He's got all these punk posters from the 90s, and so he sent me some really good stuff. And in AJ's room, there's these posters, but it's these shows that he went to when he was a kid, and it's like Fugazi and like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, and there's such good posters, but those are the good stuff that people don't make anymore when they're doing DIY stuff. Well, some people do. Actually, I've seen them now, but it's a gem of an art form, I think, a poster. Yeah. Wait,
We're gonna talk about the plate class?
Is it okay
Yeah,
if
why don't
I-
you talk about that? That
that's a
was-
story.
Yeah.
Is that okay if I tell that story?
Tell the story.
So in the beginning of the film, the guy just rolls into the, and great, you know, it's the window is broken. And when you have a budget that's 13, 14 grand, you have to make, again, choices and stuff. So we found this amazing ranch home in Southfield, Michigan, right outside Detroit. We shot this whole film in Detroit. And this ranch house had a 5x7 picture window, and it was single pane glass because it's from the 1970s. And so we had to hire a construction crew to come in, take the glass window out in one piece, and then put in a tempered glass window for this scene to take place. We could only afford one window because it's about like 15, 16 grand, or 1,600. Whole window.
Tenth of our budget.
And so Kyle is preparing for this scene. The scene is a lot. It takes a lot for this actor to be in this place where he's going to smash this and then literally like roll into the next thing. So we had one take, and everyone is hovering around the window going, okay, I can't wait to see this take. It's gonna be such a great take. It's gonna go great. And when he threw the chair at the window on the first take, this chair bounced off the window. And as you know, glass is a liquid solid. And so everyone watched this whole thing, and we're all like, I mean, I think like gonna pee our pants. And then we had to get our serious faces back on again. Our actor is getting ready again to do this whole emotional thing again. And we're all just like clenching our butts, and he hits it on the second
Wait, but
go.
you did
I
something
wanna be clear,
special,
hold on.
Frankie.
Sorry.
No,
That- that thing at the window-
No, you're great. You're beautiful. You're great.
When,
There was a problem with the window, and so Frankie, didn't you get a little nail?
Okay, so
And
yes.
you made a tiny little hole in the window so that it would
Oh
crack.
no, I hit.
when you okay, when he hit the window with we were all losing our shit, and then just nothing happened. Like it's hard to describe to you how anticlimactic it was. It was literally just boom, boom.
You'll never
And
see
everyone's
it in
like,
your
what
life.
the fuck? That window was supposed to break. And everyone's just like, cut. And I was like, cut. And we're like, go back to the beginning. Frankie understood that if you make a little bit of a weakness in the window, right, you have to give it a little bit of, you have to break the integrity of it. So you hammered a little bit of a nail into the corner of it. That weakens the entire integrity of the whole thing. I don't know how Frankie knows this. That's fucking amazing. I don't know that. And the second time Kyle did it is what you see on screen, which is just fucking thing smashes all the way through. And our other producer's not here tonight, clapped so hard when it worked that time that it got on the audio. We had to cut it out later because he was so excited.
You can't do that.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Made it work.
It's okay.
Anyway.
It worked. Easy sound effect too to add. Shattering glass. Yeah.
So we categorized Snack Shack shooting on location in Nebraska as like this like fun summer camp. How would y'all describe shooting on location in Michigan for this movie?
Well, Ross, you want to talk about living in my basement for 7 months?
Here's the thing, right? Detroit used to have this incredible incentive for shooting movies there, a tax incentive, right? So big movies like Transformers and shit would like go shoot there. And Adam was living there at the time. He was living outside Detroit at the time because he was working there. Like he had a job at a production company there. So when we were talking about places to make it, we talked about LA, we talked about other things, but Ohio, we knew it needed to really feel Midwest, and ultimately the argument was he lives in Michigan, why don't we go shoot it in Michigan? And my producing partner and I had a chance to travel out there a bunch of times and scout it, and it was like, yeah, look, this is the place to go make it. And the city had been decimated, not just by the recession and not just by all the horrible things that happened to Detroit over the past 50 years, but also the film infrastructure that had come in with so much promise had been like stripped out from underneath them, and they had nothing left, right? So there was a lot of really talented crew people there whose jobs have been taken away from them, right? So when we, I don't even know what the real question was, but when we went there and scouted it, it opened itself up to us. It gave us all of these opportunities. So we knew it was the right place to make the movie, where people were friendly and they would let us go shoot. And you've seen what the movie looks like Simon walking, I still think all the time about Simon walking through that parking lot with the weeds growing out of it and that giant glass skyscraper that's in Southfield, Michigan. Like, it's just there. We just shot that, it's this remarkable place that doesn't look like anywhere I've ever been in America, right? So we knew it was the right place to shoot, and we had no money, right? Like, we lost a sixth of our budget 3 weeks before shooting the movie, and I started putting in my credit cards, right? It was like one of those things where it was like, nobody believes in this but us, and we have to prove people wrong. And the downside of that type of hubris is that you get punished for it. So it was very painful in the sense that it was like a really hard shoot because we had not enough money. That being said, what was the flip side of that was like a bond that formed between the people that made the movie, right? And I lived in, with my producing partner, I was living in Adam's basement. It's a finished basement, okay? I had a bathroom, it was nice. It wasn't like shitty, it was quite nice. But like every morning I woke up to his 3 boys wrestling on the floor above us, which was this amazing thumping sound that you could not imagine was being created by human beings. It was just, they were beating the shit out of each other up there. And I'd go up and his wife and Sarah would be sitting there sipping their coffee, his wife Sarah, be sipping coffee, and I'd be like, are you gonna stop them? Like, no, don't get it out of their system. And he's right, by the way. But all that is to say, look, it was, I think you said fugue state earlier. Every single one of us went into a fugue state. I did nothing else in my life that was necessary while making this movie, because we were just in it every single moment we were awake for 2 months. The upside of that is that the snow globe that this movie, I feel like, takes place in was also the snow globe we were all living in. And I think that helps create, movie magic is an ineffable thing, and I'll stop talking after this, but like, it takes a lot of pain sometimes to create it, and this was painful, but also like now it's not painful at all, and it's thanks to you all being here to watch it, so thank you.
So I was gonna say, this is what makes it like not that pain, like that we're just now experiencing that. It's been such a delay because we shot the film 6 years ago, if you can believe that. It's been 6 years. 7. It's coming up on 7. Yeah, it's nuts. And so we never really got this part right here, that cathartic part. So this helps us. It helps us sitting with you, experiencing it with you, yelling and screaming and laughing. There were fucking balloons coming in. It was beautiful. I loved them. I loved the balloons when they came in. Were they watermelons?
They were.
That's beautiful. You missed the there's one right there. Like when watermelon came on, all these balloons started coming up.
Thank you, Frida.
I had a
Let's hear it for
flashback.
the Frida.
I had a flashback.
Frida.
This place fucking rocks, just to be clear. Thank you. Did any of you come to our screenings last year? Is there ever been? We sold the 5 nights in a row. We sold out. You people rock. Thank you. You rule.
But also, how many of you had never seen this movie before tonight?
I love that.
Yeah. Wow. So this hubris, we have to prove them wrong thing, and it's just kind of piggybacking on what you were saying. You make the movie, it comes out 2020, right? That couldn't have felt great, and now 5 years later, continuing. We had 5 sold-out screenings in 2024, New York Times articles, sold-out screenings all over the country, and it's still happening.
I think it still can.
And it will.
It
will.
I don't think there's any reason for it to stop. I really don't.
So, you two on the end there, how does it feel? This is your first show of the tour, that's what I heard, basically. How does it feel 5 years later, coming to a sold-out screening here?
So this is the thing, when we went to Sundance and we premiered for a couple thousand seats, when Patty prevails and the moment happens on the screen where the heroine literally gets the moment, it was insane. It was insane. it was an instant feeling of everyone's like, I love this character. And so seeing it again 7 years later here, where everyone's clapping and cheering, it's honestly like, all I want is for characters like that. Like that, it's insane. It feels so good. That's all I have to say. And like you guys see it, and it's truth in character. It's like love, and man, it makes making movies and going to the movies so much fun.
You're choking me up, Frankie.
Dude.
I know.
I know. She's going to talk about it last because it'll be the best. All I was going to say is the reasons it feels like those of you who have seen this movie before, how many times?
Don't make her.
No, you're the best. Thank you. This
love
lovely
Cal.
person
We
has
love
come to
Cal.
so many screenings. It's fucking awesome. What I'm saying, and by the way, I've been at more than you, so don't worry about it. What I'm going to say is the things that mean something to you about this movie are all the things that are the reasons we made the movie, right? Which is like, from the moment I read this beautiful gentleman's script over a decade ago, I read the draft that I read, and I could not, there was no part of me that was going to be okay not going to him and saying, I have to make your movie. I had to make it. There was no question in my mind, right? And I feel like that was a similar experience for all of us, which is we saw something in this that meant something to us. So to be able to share it with people who say this means something to us too, is why you do this at all. Why you make art of any kind, right? So to be denied that is like, look, that's a personal problem. I'm a big boy, I can move on with my life. But to be here and to have that feedback from you where you say like, thank you for making this. It's like, thank you for coming. I mean, Jesus Christ, it means nothing if you're not here. So I guess that's all that I want to say. It's just that we don't make art to feel for ego or to pump yourself up. You make it to share with people, and fuck yeah, it feels good to do that. So
Yeah.
Go off. Are you insisting? Go off.
You want to keep talking? Are you sure? Say something. What do you want to say?
I think I don't. I think it left. It left. Yeah.
What about you, Emily?
Well, I'm gonna be real. It's been like 5 dismal years for our industry with the pandemic and the strike, and I've like tried to pivot. What'd you say? 2 strikes? 2 strikes? Multiple strikes? I've like tried to pivot out of this industry multiple times. I've been like, I can't do this anymore. I'm out. Even in the past 5 years, I've been like, I'm out, and I keep getting drawn back in. And so, like this going viral in August, I literally like had quit my day job 2 weeks before, and it could not have been more perfect for me. I literally have been like, I'm giving up. I'm not doing this anymore multiple times. So this, I feel resurrected in a way. I'm like not trying to be dramatic like Jesus, but like I literally feel resurrected. Like this movie having a second life is unlike anything I could ever imagine, and has given me so much personal strength. Making it gave me so much personal strength. But then everybody's response to it and the sort of second coming, not to make all these religious jokes, but it does feel like religious, has really meant the world to me and has given me like a second boost in acting and in my career in this major, major, major way. I mean, I've been like literally like farming for people in their backyards for the past like 3 years, like just digging in the dirt, being like, I wonder if I'll ever make a movie ever again. So yeah, not to get really deep and sad, but life is hard. This industry is really hard, and this means more than you'll ever know.
I want you to baptize me. I want you to baptize me.
Let's go. Let's go to the pool, baby.
Well, it is 1 a.m. I want to continue the ethos of what you guys are talking about there. you guys getting this moment, or this very prolonged moment, which I'm so happy for you guys for. They heard me say this, some of them heard me say this, but the theater turns 11 today, right? I've been with the theater for 8 years, been programming for 6. Dinner in America in November is the movie that completely turned this theater around. Like, I'm not saying we were going into, we were doing fine. We have lines around the blocks for like every night now for movies here. And it's due to the 5 sold out screenings that we had here. People came to those screenings, they left, they told their friends about the Frida, people come in now, so amazing, incredible.
I'm going to propose a triple bill with Carolina. Carolina is the back name. Then in Pickle Snack Shack, 7 p.m., followed by Dinner in America.
Yeah,
Dessert.
I guess my point is, like, you guys having this moment, you're not even, I mean, maybe you know, maybe you don't, but in Orange County, there's one art house theater. There's very little art scene here. And the movie you guys made 6 years ago completely up to that art scene. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's hear it for Frida. Frida Cinema!
Happy birthday.
Yes. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? I know it's very, you have a question after all that? Oh, it better be good. I swear it better be good. It better be a production design question. I'm going to be so upset.
Hi, for starters, my name is Carolina.
Hi, Carolina.
I don't know, we got dueling Carolinas. All right.
And I know someone asked this for Snack Shack, but how do you picture the characters after the movie?
These characters here? Oh, wow. I like that. I think I know the answer to that. I can tell you what I think. I think that Simon gets out of jail and Patty's waiting for him with that jacket. She's got that jacket. The gate opens. They embrace. They kiss. It goes on obscenely long. And you're like, fuck, they're still kissing. And then you hear a horn, and Simon turns and is like, looks right at some woman that's trying to come out of the prison, and he fucking screams at her. And then Patty and Simon, they go on to create a beautiful concept album together. They summon some of the greatest people in Detroit, and they put it together. And it's a really beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to watch them work together. And we fall in love all over again with the process. But it's hard. And there's still satellite people. There's still Derek and Brandon. Derek and Brandon are now cubicle bros that are working, and they're doing. They've got some type of workout thing that they're selling. It's like a 30-second abs or something like that. Make your 8-pack. They're pushing that. So interweaving all of those peripheral people in as these two are recording a really beautiful album together. That's how I see it, but what the fuck do I know?
What was the question? I was peeing, sorry. I had to pee so bad. I'm so sorry.
What happens to the characters after the movie? I think that Patty, while Simon's in jail, I think she goes and she tries to find her sound, without him. I think she, takes tap classes, and I think she takes, tuba, and I think she, tries, every loud sound she can.
Hold on, I want to ask a question. What's Kev up to? You know? Because I don't have a good answer, but I want to know what Kev's up to.
I can tell you that Kev had a girlfriend with really long acrylic nails that she was eating barbecue sauce off of at the dinner. Kev was slanging some weed, remember? He was he loves pot now that he's turned on to pot. So, yeah.
If you do make a Dinner in America 2.
If it were to happen.
It would be fun. I just rewatched Blues Brothers, and I just love when they bust out of jail, and then Frank Oz has his cameo, and I just feel like you're gonna be Simon gets one pencil, for Frank Oz to do a cameo, and I'd be oh my god. Wow. That's a random thing.
I gave the idea while you were gone. I had to pee. I missed it.
Well, this was a 5.5-hour cinema event. Thank you for gracing us. There's just no other movie. There would be no other movie.
we will see you probably in the late fall for Caroline matinee, and then we'll just jump right into our triple bill.
Awesome.
Frida.
Thank you, Frida. Frida.
Have a wonderful and safe trip home.